Everton Football Club, also known as the Toffees, which ironically their situation at the moment is very tough to chew, as it is very likely that Everton could get relegated this season, and today we're going to be talking about that. Because right everyone, it is Finn here. I hope you're all doing super well today, back at it again with your regular football content as per usual. But of course today, as I said, we're going to be talking about Everton, a club that is in maybe one of the worst positions we've seen them in a very long time. Looking at Everton heading into this Premier League season, they had a Champions League winning manager. They brought in some brilliant signings. Their players seemed to be in somewhat form. There were talks about them maybe qualifying for a European spot, or at least being around that kind of area. But with a third of the Premier League season left, they'd no longer have that manager. They've got a manager who's never won anything in his managerial career, let alone been in a relegation battle. They've obviously struggled with injuries. Their players that have been playing have not been at a Premier League level. Things have not gone Everton's way, and with some very tough fixtures coming up towards the end of the season, I think it is a real possibility that Everton, they could go down to the Championship. And on top of this gigantic pile of, should we call a spade a spade? Should we just say this gigantic pile of shit? Because that's what it is. On top of it, we've got a little rotten cherry on top that's been lying under the counter for years, known as a point deduction. Because yes, on top of all of these problems that Everton are now facing, after even a 5-0 loss versus Spurs, after you think it couldn't get any lower for Everton, they've just been told that they could suffer a possible point deduction. Now, of course, we're going to be talking about all the problems Everton are facing in today's video. I'm going to be talking about what I think is the right solution for Everton, how I think they could somehow escape if there's a possibility. I'm going to be talking about, is it a possibility that Everton could stay up? And also, I'm just going to be keeping you guys updated on the whole point deduction system. Obviously, it is a very fresh, brand new situation that has only just been released. But once again, could impact Everton tremendously. Looking at Everton and the whole situation in terms of the point deduction, just to keep you guys updated, article by Sports Bible, don't forget to check them out. The club were meant to publish their finances for the 2021 season in December, but according to the report have delayed as they seek clarity from the Premier League over what they can offset against the impact of COVID. Okay, fair enough. I think lots of clubs are going to do something similar to that. Clubs are only entitled to lose a maximum of £105 million over 3 seasons in normal circumstances, in line with the league trying to avoid clubs overspending above their means and finding themselves in trouble. Obviously, I think Newcastle United, the richest club in world football, is a good example of that. Over a £300 million buyover, you can't just spend all of that money, along with some other clubs that have been bought over. However, COVID has been seen that period spread over to 4 years, obviously been extended by a year, as clubs missed out on revenue of crowds being in attendance. As such, an average of losses will be taken across the 4 years, providing a figure for the usual 3 years, which Everton could still be in breach of. So they've extended it by a year, and Everton have still exceeded that limit. I don't understand how a top club, let's be honest, look, I know Everton it's not the biggest club in the world. It's not your Real Madrid or your Liverpool or your PSG or whoever it is. But Everton is a big club in world football that's been around for years. So how a top club manages to do that, it can only go down to mismanagement, because I hate to be frank with you, Frank Lampard to be exact, but something is wrong in every single department at Everton at the moment. As I said, from the coaches to the players to obviously the hierarchy of the club, everything just seems to be very mismanaged at the moment. And once again, that could cost Everton. That could be the major reason why they go down. Obviously, having lost a reported £260 million in the years from 2017 to 2020. Now, I don't know about you, but I did the math, and 260 is a lot more than 105, more than double the 105 limit. Once again, how that happens, it can only go down to mismanagement. Yes, I know clubs were heavily impacted by COVID, that will have its impact, but to go an additional £155 million, once again, that's just absurd. The Merseysiders were forced to only make cut price deals last summer, signing Damari Gray, obviously brilliant signing in my opinion, for £1.8 million, and other transfers being friction-free deals. The league have given clubs until later this month to publish their accounts and will make some allowances for COVID, but there is no set criteria to exactly what those will be. So obviously that is the situation Everton are facing in terms of a point deduction. At the moment, only 1 point ahead of Burnley, who are in 18th place. Everton cannot risk losing any more points. Looking at them for the rest of the season, I think they are going to seriously battle. Looking at the games they've had, setting up for the rest of the season, they don't have a single easy fixture. In their next game, they face the likes of Wolverhampton Wanderers, who have been brilliant this season and will be difficult to take points from. They've got Newcastle United next, who haven't lost the game yet in 2022. We've got West Ham United next, a team fighting for a Champions League spot. Won't be easy. Manchester United, my club, I wouldn't be surprised if they got a point there, but once again, far from guaranteed. We've got Liverpool, Chelsea and Leicester City the next 3 games. We've got Brentford, which may be a point there, and Arsenal, followed by 4 games that have been postponed since beginning of the season. I don't know about you, but looking at these fixtures that Everton have to face for the rest of the season, I just cannot see them gaining enough points to stay in the Premier League. Looking at them, obviously, as I said, only 1 point above Burnley at the moment in terms of points, only 1 point above them. They are 1 point behind Leeds United, which obviously Leeds United 2 games in hand. I do think Everton, if they stay up, they would stay up in kind of that 17th, 16th place. I do think teams like Newcastle United and Brentford are safe in the Premier League. I don't think they'll go down unless something horribly goes wrong. But I think looking at Everton, another major factor people have to look at is the form of clubs like Burnley. Burnley have been in terrific form over the last few weeks, over the last 2-3 months, I would say. And I would say that Burnley are comfortably a better team than Everton at the moment, which once again, it's just shocking to look at Everton, the amount of money they've spent over the last few years. In fact, looking at the last 5 years, they have spent the 4th most out of all Premier League clubs in the Premier League. Once again, I can't fathom how they are almost in a relegation zone. They are in a relegation battle, yet they've spent the 4th most in this league. Obviously, Man United, Man City and Chelsea are the only teams to have spent more. But looking at Everton, they've spent 536 million over the last 5 years. That's what, 6-7 Harry Maguires? They've spent an average of 55 million per season, and to still be in a situation like that, once again, I think it all goes down to mismanagement. I just don't think this club know what they're doing whatsoever, and that is very evident with the fact that they've got Frank Lampard as their manager, a player who, as a player, don't get me wrong, fantastic, one of the best midfielders in the world, but obviously played at a very top level, wasn't necessarily in that relegation kind of battle in terms of as a manager. He almost helped Derby County reach promotion to the Premier League. Once again, very far from a relegation battle in terms of Premier League. He managed Chelsea, once again, far from a relegation battle, and I just don't know what Everton were thinking by bringing in a manager like that. And it's so weird looking at Everton, the managers they've had over the last few years. Ancelotti, obviously the likes of Rafa Benitez, who's just left. Those are top managers that have won a lot of trophies, accolades, Champions League titles. They can't do anything about this Everton team. Everton need to bring in someone who knows what it's like to fight a real relegation battle. Yes, I know it sounds so typical, but bring in Big Sam if you must. Big Sam would have been a better option than Frank Lampard. To me, I've said it for years and years and years, but I just don't know what Everton's problem with hiring Duncan Ferguson as their main manager would be. Obviously, their first team coach, he's been their first team coach for quite a while. He's managed a few games for them. He's been brilliant as a manager for Everton when he has taken that role on. So I just don't understand why Everton are fighting for a different kind of manager when they've clearly got the right tools in their locker. They've got the correct tools right there. They're just leaving them locked outside the shed to rust, which I just don't understand that. And on top of that, also getting a first team coach with the likes of Ashley Cole, once again has followed Frank Lampard everywhere from Derby to Chelsea. Once again, absolutely brilliant player, but once again hasn't had an impressive start. I don't know why Everton believe these players who are so new to this career that haven't succeeded yet are the right people for the job. To me, it is just so beyond idiotic. And obviously, just looking at them overall in their season, I just think it was Jamie Carragher, obviously, who quoted the fact that defensively, looking at Everton, they've got a championship defense, conceding 46 goals, the 4th worst defense in the Premier League. It is very clear that this defense is not up to standard. Obviously, after losing the likes of Lucas Digne, that is a major downfall for Everton, and the fact that they haven't replaced him. They haven't brought in a player who's got nearly a good enough impact. Obviously, looking at them in their 5-0 loss versus Tottenham Hotspurs, playing the likes of Kenny as a left back. Once again, nothing bad about him, but once again, just far off of a Premier League quality left back. Obviously, Michael Keane in the centre back position next to Holgate. I do think Holgate has a bright future ahead of him, but once again, still quite a few slip-ups, a bit of misjudgment. He's still learning the ropes, in my opinion, and isn't there quite yet. Looking at Michael Keane, who I just mentioned, I hate to say this, as a Manchester United fan, someone who used to play for my club, Michael Keane is not a Premier League worthy centre-back. He was brilliant in his days at Burnley, but the amount of mistakes, the amount of own goals, the amount of misjudgments, just everything from Michael Keane has just showed over the last few years. Once again, just not good enough. And in terms of other centre-backs, if they played Yerry Mina, he's a decent centre-back, but he's never fit. Obviously, in that right-back position, they've got the likes of Seamus Coleman, which, once again, nothing bad against him. He's had a marvellous career, but as a modern-day fullback, Seamus Coleman isn't good enough. He's picked up injuries. He's a bit slow, just in terms of what a modern-day fullback is required of, what you need in modern-day football. Seamus Coleman just does not tick those boxes. And looking at those 4 defenders, when they play for Everton, once again, you're just not going to stay in the Premier League. And we saw that, conceding 5 goals past Spurs within 55 minutes. Spurs absolutely toyed with Everton, and they haven't toyed with anyone in a very long time, bar Leeds United obviously, which obviously brings me to my next point. Looking at Everton, if they want to avoid the relegation zone, they have to be teams that they are competing for. To lose to Newcastle United, once again, things are just absolutely horrific at the moment, and the club are just in such a horrible shape at the moment. I don't know what they're going to do to escape it, and it's not like they also don't have good players to help them in those areas. Looking at their goalkeeper, they've got England's #1 Jordan Pickford. In their midfield, they've got the likes of Decore, a brilliant midfielder. Yes, I know he's been injuries for large parts of the season, but once again, he still played enough to make an impact. Dele Alli, Donny van der Beek, Allen, they've got brilliant players in this club in terms of their attack. Yes, I know the blow of Dominic Calvert-Lewin being injured definitely had an impact on the club, but to still have Townsend, to still have Gray, although he's also been injured, to still have Richarlison, to have all of these players, Solomon Rondon, once again, yes, I know it's not the best club in the entire world, but Everton definitely have a good enough team to stay in the Premier League. But it obviously, as I said, goes down to the club, it goes down to the mismanagement, it goes down to selecting the right people for the job in terms of coaches and managers, and I think Everton will go down. That's at least my opinion of it, because I mean, even just looking at their fixtures for the rest of the season, as I said, Wolves, Newcastle, West Ham, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester, Brentford, Arsenal, and there's 4 more postponed games. As I said, I just don't see Everton having enough to push through that. I think Everton, unfortunately, will go down this season, and if they do stay up, it is going to be by the skin of their teeth. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for today's video. Yes, I know it is a very big topic. I know this is such an exciting Premier League season at the top of the table, but when you look at the bottom of the table, it really shows where the drama lies. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I want you to put down in the comment section down below, what is wrong with Everton? What is their main problem this season? Have they just been unlucky with injuries, or is something just fundamentally wrong with this club? That is my opinion on it. But guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you have enjoyed it. Can we please get this video to 20 likes? And as I said, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content by me. Obviously, looking to grow this channel every single day, and every single subscriber, all of the support does help. So of course, I would really appreciate it. But guys, this has been Finn, FYNN, and as I said, the toffees, very hard to chew at the moment. Cheers.